Welcome to episode 28 of the Greeting Mashiach podcast, brought to you, as you can see, from 770 Eastern Parkway, Chabad Lubavitch World Headquarters. I hope you enjoy. This is episode 28, as you probably all know, Gematria of Koyach, and more importantly, Gematria of Yechi. So, without further ado, let's begin. What's on the menu, Levi?
Yeah, so this is we missed a week. And last Shabbos was Parshas Shoftim, famous Sicha Shoftim and Aleph. Parshas Shoftim Tavshin and Aleph. The Rebbe said a whole Sicha about Shoftayich, V'Yatzayich, that Shoftim and Shoftim Titan L'cha B'chol Sha'arecha. The Rebbe goes in a whole thing and explains the concept of a judge and the concept of an advisor, and then the most powerful part to those people that kach in the inyan of the Besuras HaGeula is that the Rebbe is telling us that nowadays, being that we are standing in a time where it's after we finish Kol Ma'asinu V'Sinu Kol Zman Meshech HaGolus, meaning everything that we needed to do during Golus, we've been finished with. We finished even the polishing of the buttons. All the work is done. And being that is, we know that Rambam says that prophecy will come back to the Yidden before Mashiach comes, specifically to Mashiach himself, will have a certain level of prophecy as a preparation and as a beginning, as he begins to become the great Mashiach and will have the full prophecy, Karev L'Moshe Rabbeinu, as is famously said. But that the Rebbe says, being that that is the case, that there is a Navi nowadays in our midst, and that Navi is telling us what to do and advising us in our day-to-day life and our Vedas Hashem and all these things. Being that is, we have an obligation. We have to publicize this to the masses, to the world, not only to ourselves but also to our bnei bayis, our house, our households, our friends, our family, and anybody that is under our umbrella of influence. We have to tell this to them, and more importantly, that we have to heed onto his prophecies, onto his advices, and onto his recommendations and guidelines. And most importantly, we have to heed his, as the Rebbe puts it, Nevuah Ikris, the fundamental prophecy of Hinizeh Mashiach Ba, that Mashiach is here, Mashiach is in the world, the Geula is in the world, and as the Rebbe laid out in the following few months, more clearly, that all we have to do is open our eyes. We have to be Makabah Pnei Mashiach Tzidkenu and all the other things.
Yeah, thank you. So this is really one of these bombshell sichas that everyone knows, Shoftim and Aleph. No, but really, it's a total bombshell. You know, the cliches are cliche for a reason. You learn through the sikha, and it's crazy stuff. Can't believe it. If it wasn't printed, I would never believe it. The Rebbe, who really referred to himself as Nasi Direnu, we got to find like a place or two where the Rebbe referred to himself maybe allegedly as Nasi Direnu, because all the time it was the Shver, and even in the Sikha it's kind of still the Shver. But it's pretty clear that Rebbe says, just to drive the point home a little bit, that we have in our generation, and the Rebbe first of all explains that in general, this concept of a Rebbe, since the Baal Shem Tov really, what we've invented this whole thing, a new dynamic in Yiddishkeit. You have there's a beautiful course on Chabad.org by Michael Kegel. He has some fantastic stuff. I highly recommend you check him out. Parsha videos and different courses on Chabad.org. So one of them, he goes to Jewish history, and he explains the different type of structures. You have the structures of the kingship, and then you have the structures of different families, so to speak. You have the structures of the judges, of the Nevi'im, of the family, of the courts. You have different structures in Yiddishkeit. it starts off big and then it gets smaller to the family, and we've invented an entirely new structure. Rebbe Chassid. What is that? It's a new thing, really. It's not so defined. What is it? And for the first time, the Rebbe is kind of just out in the open. Yeah, it's kind of being a Navi. That's what it is. It's a mix. It's being a Navi, first of all, because we know only a Navi deals with physical problems, and people all the time come to Rebbe for physical things. That's really the domain of a Navi. And he's the Yoyetz. He's the Shefet. The Rebbe is all of the things. That's a Rebbe. He's the Nasi Adar. He takes care of the people. He's the Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu all time multitask, does everything more or less. This is the Rebbe. This is the Nasi. And the Rebbe Pasha puts it in clear terms. He's the Navi, he's the Shefet, he's the Yoyetz. But the big thing, obviously, is Navi. The Rebbe is the Navi. And the Rebbe says, I'm telling you in Nevuah. Well, before that, the Rebbe says, you have to tell everyone that there's a person who the Eibishter chose. This is a person who has Bechira Chavshis. He has free choice. A Rebbe is not this Malach that fell from Shemayim. The Rebbe is a person with free choice. Who Shaloi Berechecher from Anshi Adar. People don't realize this. You talk to Nat Lubavitchers, they think we're stuck up about it. You think your Rebbe is the greatest Rebbe, and then he decided that he's the Nasi Hadar, whatever that means. The Rebbe is telling us, we're Chassidim of the Rebbe. And the Rebbe is telling us that what's the Rebbe? He is Shaloi Be'erechecher from the Anshi Hadar. That means all of the rest of the people, he's a Tafachecher. Not a Tafach, he's Shaloi Be'erech. That means incomparably greater.
Like we say about a king, Meshich Me'elamayla Gvayim
Meshich Me'elamayla, head and shoulders above the people. So the Rebbe is telling us that the Eibishter gave you a gift. He took a person who's a Baal Bechira. This person, he is miles. You can't even see him. He's miles ahead of everyone else. He's not even they're not in the same library as everyone else. A Rebbe. And he chose him that he should be the one who is the Navi of the generation, and the Shefet of the generation, the Yoyetz of the generation. He's the one that people come to for advice. The Rebbe says, for all matters, physical, spiritual, who do you turn to? Who is your address? Right here, 770 Eastern Parkway, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, or 1226 Francis Lewis, whatever the address is, on Abraham and 9th. That's the address. This is where you go. You go to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. The Lubavitcher Rebbe, that's the address for all your concerns. Why? Because he's the Navi. He's the judge. He's the one who's the guide. He's the one who gives advice. He is the man. He's the destination. That's already mind-blowing and crazy. And now the Rebbe goes further and says, I'm saying a Nevuah. The main Nevuah, and the Rebbe puts in the Ha'aretz, and the thing that I'm about to tell you, and I've been saying, I'm saying it loidak betor chacham. I'm not saying this is a wise person, which I am. We know Mashiach is a chacham gadol yosem mishleimai, and not just as a shefet. I'm saying this as the Rebbe betor navi. Now you'll have some people that come up with chachmas. The Rebbe said this and the Rebbe said that, and really halachically, listen, I'm not the biggest Rav out there. I have smicha, I almost have dayanis, but don't come to me to paskin any dinim.
Not yet, at least, huh?
Not yet. But I know this is what the Rebbe is telling me, right? The Rebbe wrote the sichos and edited the sichos that we should understand them, that they should make sense. And the Rebbe is telling us, and he's describing and explaining this, that this is the Nevuah, Navi, the way that Rambam explains that this is what a Navi is. Take all of your halachic problems and write in the Keftim and kochen them and figure it out. But that's all afterwards. The first thing you know, this is what the Rebbe told us. And this is the fact. Afterwards, you figure out what darga of Navi it is and what it means and how it works. The pratam anat negeya. What's negeya is what the Rebbe told us. That he's telling this to us as a Navi. What's the Nevuah? Hine ze Mashiach ba. Mashiach is here. He's coming. And la'alta legula. The Frierdiker Rebbe said, when you do tshuva, we'll have the gula. The Rebbe is telling us we did tshuva, and we're holding now la'alta legula. It's time to have the immediate gula. And the Rebbe said this in Tafshin Nun Aleph. And we're now 30 33 years later, or something like that. And the Rebbe told us to be mefarsim b'chol makom and makom. Go tell everyone that there's this. The Rebbe didn't even say Yidden. Kol Anshe Adar. There's this person. His name is the Lubavitcher Rebbe, or at least the way the Rebbe put it, he's the Indian of another Yihad by the Frierdiker Rebbe and by the Talmidim of the generation after him. So, whoever that might be, there was somebody. Yeah. And
it's interesting. I was looking at I forgot what it was, but apparently I think Groner, one of the secretaries, was when they gave the sikha to when the Rebbe was being Megiya the sikha. Apparently the Rebbe said, "I didn't mean me. I meant the Frierdiker Rebbe or something." And then the Rebbe said, "No, some I forgot exactly the lashon, but it's even when the Rebbe means the Frierdiker Rebbe, we know that the Rebbe is passing him on himself. Also, it's
no, but even in the sikha, it's clear that Rebbe is referring to the Frierdiker, and then he's referring to the next generation.
Right.
That much is clear. So this is really a totally mind-blowing thing. And the Rebbe is telling you to be mefarsim b'chol makom and makom. Tell everyone to who you possibly can the good news. We're going to have the Gula. The Rebbe is the Navi. Everyone come to the Rebbe. That's the address. And you find. So first of all, there needs to be a fire burning under you. That 33 years ago, the Rebbe told us the Nevuah of La'alta L'Gula. We're going to have immediate Gula. Now, if you want to say Hiniz Mashiach Ba, personally, I think that was already Mekoyim, because the Rebbe told us that Vayeda Tavshin Beis, the Rebbe said Mashiach is Behizgala, so Mashiach did arrive, Mashiach did come. So in a certain sense, that part of the Nevuah was not fully, but began to be fulfilled, that the Mashiach is here. And even that we're going to have the Gula is also starting to be fulfilled, because the Rebbe told us much in the Gula, even before that, much in the Gula B'Pashtos. That means the Gula is downloaded into the world. And like the Rebbe talks about in this week's Sikha from when we're recording this, Kisei say that it's all Kumenachem B'Kufsa, the whole Schar of Lasad Lavei, it's in a box and we have the key. Like you have the simple mashal of a zip file, for those who know how it works. You download it, you have the zip file, it's all there, but you need to unzip the files. Otherwise, you're not going to have access to them. They're there, you have them on the device. You don't need to download them from online, you have them on your device, but you need to unzip the files. They're locked up, they're in a box. But we worked for it already. We have all the cash. We have the goods. You need to unlock it. And that's up to us. And that's all the ufaf and the egg things. Even the La'alta L'Gula, really it's here. The Rebbe, Heftiach Rabbi Yekayim, we're waiting now. We should open our eyes. We should make it happen. It's up to us. The Rebbe says we have the key. And that's the whole avodah we have Nakabal, etc. But the thing that this is really interesting about the Sikha is it's so clear, it's so blatant, it's such a bombshell. And yet, unfortunately, it seems to me that not necessarily is this as widespread as you think it would be. The Rebbe is saying you have to be mefarsim to everyone, that the Rebbe is a Navi. That's not like a one, you can talk about the Sikha from Kisei Tzei, the Rebbe says to mefarsim that everywhere is Temchet Mimim. And everyone should make verbringens, and everyone should, Yidal Elo, the Chasna of the Frierdiker Rebbe, and everyone should give money for Rosh Hashanah for poor people. So you say, okay, those Hidas are very geschmack, and they sound more like one-time Hidas. Like, okay, very nice. It'll be nice verbringen, whatever.
Yeah, we could do that. That we could do.
I'm not saying you shouldn't tell everyone this. The Rebbe said to me first, but you see where someone comes from to say, that's okay, whatever, fine. That's not the biggest deal in the world, You'll have mashpiyim, you'll sit there, if you bring with them, they'll explain to you how this is really the greatest word, and it's true. But it's not as obvious. It's a great word. Over Temchet Tamim is the ultimate. Okay, whatever, fine. But here you have that the Rebbe is a Navi, and that everyone needs to listen. This is practical on the table. Everyone needs to know that the Lubavitcher Rebbe is not a nice guy, he's not a tzaddik, he's not a holy person, he doesn't have very cool Torah with very nice Rashi Sichas. He wasn't the greatest rabbi of the 20th century. He wasn't anything you've ever read in any biography. He's Melech HaMashiach. That's what he is. He's the Navi of our generation. He's the Shevet of our generation. We're talking much bigger things than any biography is describing. The Rebbe is so much bigger, larger than life. The Rebbe said you have to realize that. Everyone needs to follow the Rebbe. This is major. And the Rebbe is saying this clearly. You would think that everyone would do that. And some people do, and they should. And it's kavaldik, and it gives us the strength that we know what we're doing here. We have the Rebbe's backing. We know we're doing the right thing. When we're going out there and spreading, the Rebbe everywhere, or bringing everyone to the Rebbe. But it also provides us with another answer from Imprishti perspective to a different question. So often when you're discussing the Sikha, the fundamental Sikha of Chayei Saran and Beis, where the Rebbe tells us that our Avodah now is Kabbalah's Pnei Mashiach Tzidkeinu, and if he didn't guess yet on our podcast here, we're of the opinion that means not greeting the Geula and whatever, we're talking about greeting the Rebbe as Mashiach, that's the understanding of the Sikha, that's what the Rebbe wants from us, that's the Shlichus. We need to greet the person Mashiach, we need to greet the Rebbe as Mashiach. People say if the Rebbe meant that, he should have said it more clearly. Now, I think it is pretty clear in the Sikha. But there are people who say, if this was an important thing, people need to know that the Rebbe is Mashiach, and that this is an important thing in the process of bringing the Geula, greeting Mashiach, that's indeed an integral part of it. The Rebbe should have made it more clear. He should have bragged about it. He should have spoke about it. He should have written letters about it. And again, like we've spoken about, there are minus about it, and there are letters. All of the stuff is there for anybody who wants to open their eyes. But there are people who say it should have been more clear. But the truth of the matter is it's not true. Because here you have a Sikha Shaftim, and it's clear as day. And either you'll have some people who try to pretend like it isn't clear. And if you're that smart, you beat me, whatever. I'm not that smart. Like I said, I'm just reading it. I'm reading it simply. I don't know, that's what it says. Or people just, and this is most people, it's not what people talk about. It's not, maybe you heard about it, yeah, Sheikh Nanalov, Navi, whatever, but it's not, and no one can tell you why. It's not like anyone has a good explanation really why. It's just,
It's not
what do you
comfortable.
mean? The Rebbe said clearly, black and white. There's not really a whole lot of room for debate. So this makes you have perspective. It's not really about if it was clear or not. It's just about, are you getting on board with this? Are you willing to put yourself into all the sikhs, take all the sikhs seriously or not? If you're going to take it seriously, then you'll read Chayei Saran, you'll read Sheikh, and you'll see what it says, and you'll take it seriously, and you'll stop being far from all these things. And more importantly, you'll have the confidence to do it. It's so important in order to do something properly, you need to have the confidence that you're doing the right thing. You need to believe in your mission. If people themselves are not convinced and don't believe in this mission, you can try, and don't let it stop you, but it's going to be difficult to convince somebody else, or even get yourself to try to convince someone else if you're not convinced of it yourself. And this is what is so important. And this brings us to another topic we were talking about recently. This idea, people say, why do you kochen? And you start talking about this week's Nun Beis, this week's Nun Aleph, and there's always that one guy, who I'm talking about, he pipes up, why do you have to kochen now from the Beis? There are so many sikhs. There's Chelik Gimel, and there's Chelik Beis, and there's Chelik Dalet, and there's Chelik Tes, and there's Chav Dalet. There's a whole Kutei Sikhs. What are you so obsessed with now from the Beis? And it's like, what are you supposed to answer such a guy? What? Why am I kochen now from the Beis? Have you read these Sikhs? Of course I'm kochen in these. I'm unabashedly kochen in these Sikhs. Of course we learned the rest of the Rebbe's Torah. But what's the koch? Of course it's the alphabet. This is the avodah of our times. This is where the Rebbe lays out our mission to bring the Geula. The Rebbe tells us here, Mashiach Bezgalos, that he's a Navi. Yes, it's important to figure out Pshat and the Rashi, but there's big things going on here. You know who the person who said the Rashi Sikhu was? He's Melech HaMashiach. Do you understand that? There's a nevuah that he needs a Mashiach pod. There's a nevuah of La'alta L'Gula. We're going to have immediate redemption, the immediate Geula. Mashiach is here. You can't ignore that and focus on other things. You can only focus on the other things within the greater context of realizing that Mashiach is here and he's taking us out of Golos. That's the focus. That's the koch. That's the stress. How could you say that we shouldn't be kachi in that? I don't even know what that means. Unless you don't really think Mashiach is here. You don't think Mashiach is Bezgalas. You don't think we're on. Talk a little more. The Kiseitze. The Rebbe says we're done with the whole Ikv the Mashiach era. Or at the end of Kapitel the past. The Rebbe says we're moving on to the next Kapitel of that year, Kapitel Tzaddik. It's time for the Tashlum Schar. It's time to actually build the Beis Hamikdash. We're done with the whole Chayil Beis David. They're fighting They're fighting to fight the war of people scoffing in Mashiach. We're holding by the Tashlum Schar.
Yeah, another crazy vart. Another crazy vart that Rebbe says about Kiseti la Melchama Aleivecha, that you have this whole thing of the avoda is you have to fight.
Aleivecha.
Right.
And here the
Rebbe says, saying, yeah, it's all gone. It's all gone.
There's no Eivecha, there's no Muhammad, there's no Al, there's just mitzvah. That's it.
It's
all
wild.
Good. That means for those people who are looking for Avodah and looking for, can you imagine Avodah great who say, not have enough Avodah in it? Can you imagine Avodah harder? The Rebbe is trying to say that it's easy, and that's the point, that's the perspective. But it's easy once you put yourself in that mindset. But the Rebbe is saying that's available to us. To realize the Galus is over. There's no Milchama. There is no war. Realize that. You're wearing a VR headset of a war. Take it off. You ever see somebody in a 4D theater, a 3D theater? As a kid, it terrified me. You ever seen like a 3D thing? Or now we have VR sets. I was walking around like this in the Apple.
Oh yeah.
What's the new thing? What's the Apple's thing called?
The glasses, no, the goggles.
Whatever they called that, I tried it on in the Apple store. Gimmick, it's cool. Ain't gonna last, but a cool feature they have is, you're looking at the world. You're looking at the world around you. It projects in your glasses the world. You can talk to someone. You can see them, and you can also see a bunch of fake things that they project into that reality. And the whole thing is fake. It doesn't exist. It's all in your glasses, and it's all a little bit dimmer. It's a little bit darker. It's all a fake copy. It's a facsimile. You take it off, and it's like, whoa, everything's brighter. Everything's for real. Everything is in sharper focus and more clear. And all of those illusions, those fake things, they're all gone. This is what the Rebbe is trying to tell us. Take off your glasses. There isn't a war. Gullus, it's over. That's a gift that Rebbe is telling us that we have. That's amazing. We need to take advantage of it. To put yourself in this, that's not easy. Not because it's hard, just because it takes realizing that that's the truth. It's like waking up from a dream when you kind of know you're dreaming, but you can't wake up.
You want to go back to sleep.
And you should wake up, but you're not sure how to do it. Ever happened to you, like in your dream?
Yeah.
It's not really hard. Waking up isn't hard, but when you're stuck inside the dream, you don't know how to get out. You realize it's all fake. We're trapped by ourselves. We're not trapped by Galus. That's what the Rebbe keeps trying to tell us. And all the sikhs, the world isn't trapping us. We're stuck in our own heads, in our own ways of doing things. Say it can't be. Look at the world around. The Rebbe brought us proof. Look what's going on in the world. Look at Mishpat and Beis. Look what's going on. They're getting rid of the bombs. They're fulfilling biblical prophecies. They're turning swords into plowshares. The world is ready for the Gula. It's here. Mitzadach Tachtainim. But the Yidden, we have Bechira Chavshis. And the way we act, that's what is kind of also is it the way the world acts in a certain sense. But there are certain things that have pointed us to show us, and that's the Geula glasses you have to wear to see that really the world is ready. And as soon as we will appreciate that and start living our life that way, doing our avodah and living as Yidden the way we're supposed to, as Siddim, the whole thing happens. We'll have the Geula. We're all like that famous mashal when there's a hurricane, there's a flood, and he sends he sends the boat. He says, "No, I'm waiting for Hashem to save me," and he sends the helicopter. I'm waiting for Hashem to save me. V'chulu. The Eibishter is saving you. We're all davening. We're waiting for the Gula. Oh, when will Geula come? When will we have Mashiach? Oh my gosh. The Rebbe sent us the boat, the helicopter, all of the things. He gave it to us. It's in a box. We have the key. We need to open it. We're not waiting for anything to. David should take us out of Golos right now, and David should, like the Rebbe says, sometimes the Rebbe says we have to open our eyes, and sometimes it says the Rebbe has to open our eyes. So
right,
I guess
this week in Kiseitze, the Rebbe says about Matan Schara, it can't be too late. Is al the halacha. You can't delay the payment of a worker.
Of Matan Schara, yeah. So this is what it is. So either the quick way is the Rebbe opens our eyes, but the Aveda, what we need to do is we need to open our eyes. And we need to realize it's here for us. And there's nothing but to do but to grab this. It's fresh fruit, ripe for the picking. We need to not say, oh, why should I kach in the base? Of course we're kaching in the base. This is the whole kach. This is the way we look through everything else. This is it.
And like Rabbi Wolf, who has many shiurim on the Sichos, that the title that he puts it is Key to Redemption. This is the key to getting the whole thing.
Is the Sichos.
Is the Sichos. The key to opening your eyes, the key to having that mind shift is the Sichos. Is the Rebbe, and it's very interesting because every time like I learn the Sicha and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like it like hits me. The Rebbe said this 32 years ago. Like it's like mind blowing that like we're still here. Like it's possible. Right. It's possible for a bacher to like discover the Sichos and like go crazy. Like why? Like the Rebbe said this 32 years ago.
Why didn't parents fix this? Like why didn't they have the Gula already? If the Rebbe really said this stuff, this should, like I was mentioning before, this should bother you. There should be a fire burning under your seat. You mean the Rebbe said these nevuos 30 years ago? Where's the Gula? What are we doing here? Let's go to Yerushalayim. And having this perspective, this gives you the chayas and the kayach. If you know it's true, you can do it. Everyone always talks, in all the biographies about the Rebbe. What was the Rebbe's power? The Rebbe really, truly believed in everyone. More than everyone believed in themselves. He sent people on shlichus who never dreamed they had the kayach to do that. The Rebbe wants people to be the best version of themselves, even more. Avoid the kayach atzma and all that, but you have the kayach. You can do it. The Rebbe is telling us you could tut at was can't. What does the Rebbe want? The Rebbe wants us to bring the gula. That's what he wants. And everyone's tried making this big. Everyone start bringing some. What is it? What is it? It doesn't have to be so complicated. It's to get it done. And the Rebbe is telling us that we can do it. Why? It doesn't make sense. We should have the gula, yada, yada, yada. It's all true. It's all good and fine. But L'Payel, we're sitting in Galus, and the Rebbe told us, the facts are that the Rebbe is telling us as a nevuah, he needs the Mashiach Ba'alat or the gula, and that's what we should have. Take us b'yad mamish. The gula b'dvar shlema. Taka, no excuses.
No excuses. But there's no excuses for the Eibush. There's no excuses for us either.
The Eibush has to do his part. We have to do our part. But we shouldn't have to wait. The Eibush should give us, like we're learning this week, the schar that he has to give us. We should have Taka the Gula Mitzvah Shlema. And we know the Beis Mikdash is coming down to this address first.
All right.
770 Eastern Parkway. So I'm waiting.
Shkoyach. Everybody, thank you for joining. Thank you for listening. My name is Levi Palchenko. This is Simcha Fish. Thank you for joining us today on our crazy ride. Just kidding. Comment, obviously, like, share, subscribe. Very important to get this to as many people as possible. To be mefarsim, chol anshe ador. The Rebbe is Navi. The Rebbe is the Navi. Yesh Navi beYisrael. The Rebbe is the Navi. And we have to, what's the word? Hearken?
Hearken to his voice.
Hearken to his voice.
So, there it is. By sharing this podcast, you are literally fulfilling the Rebbe's directive. How about that?
Wow.
The directive of a Navi. So this is a mitzvah.
We want Mashiach now.
Amen.
ועד כדי כך המדב גולהום עד העם זול מחי זין ישי המלך